Hello everybody and welcome to Fresno City Farm. Everybody's been doing different videos of their gardens, so a garden walk. So we thought we'd join in the fun. So right here you kind of see an overall view of the east garden that we have in our backyard on the east side. This is the first year we planted over here, and this is where I have most of my tomato plants. But let me start off by showing you our sunflowers that we planted here. So we planted this whole section. We call it Van Gogh's garden. There's 70 plants total and 12 different varieties. So these are really turning out beautiful. This is the first time I really tried to grow sunflowers. You can see in the back we got the really tall ones, the mammoth Russians, which are going to get even taller and then have those huge flower heads. And then if you look down here, we have the little teddy bears, which only get a few feet off the ground. And you can see they're all getting the little blooms on them. So hopefully those will open soon and we'll be able to show you all of the different beautiful sunflower blooms. And you can see some of these, they have blooms all the way down. And some of these in here are like hybrids that they use for floral arrangements. Well, there's a few that are open. Look at this one in here. This one is called an eclipse. Beautiful sunflower. And then let me show you one over here. This one here is called Magic Roundabout. Kind of a yellow with the red. And sometimes they have white in them also. So you can see a beautiful little section here. Can't wait to see it all come into full bloom. In front of our tomatoes we have sections with flowers. And we like them for the beauty, but also it attracts the bees and the pollinators. So we have our bachelor buttons there. Really beautiful. And then we have our zinnias, which is a favorite of ours. I love all those different color variations. Ones look like splattered paint on them. They're just really beautiful. And so we kind of do a mixture of those, but then also on the bottom of all these we have some French marigolds. This one's called a Jolly Jester. Really is quite striking. But again, they just add beauty and they bring the pollinators to the garden. So in the tomato section, we have 10 rows in all and 100 plants. So for some of these rows, we're trying to get production out of because we like to do canning, make salsas, different things like that, and spaghetti sauce and tomato sauce. And then in other parts, we're doing some of the specialty heirlooms and colors. So we'll start off here on the side. And what we grew here was our Romas. Grew a whole row of Romas. I usually grow nothing but indeterminate varieties, but I decided to try the Roma, which is a determinate. I kind of added strings on it just to try and keep the plant kind of in one spot. But they kind of sprawl kind of all over the place and that. So it's kind of like a little test thing to see how it turns out, see how productive they are. But they have set a lot of fruit, so we look forward to them ripening up and seeing, you know, how many we can use and what we can get out of them. And then on this row here is San Marzanos. So on the San Marzanos, I've had a lot of problem with blossom end rot on some of these. You can even see it there. So these here have not done very well as far as that's concerned. And you know, the funny thing is last year I had 2 San Marzano plants and those things were just giants. They were beautiful and produced a lot of fruit. So I thought I'm going to try doing 10 plants and seeing, you know, if we can get a lot out of them. But so far these plants are about half the size and having issues. Some of the blossom end rot that you see on these though, most of that is my fault because since this is a new area, I didn't get the watering down. I didn't keep it consistent. So a lot of that is my fault for doing that. But now we got it consistent, so we'll see. Hopefully things will change. And on this side over here, we have the two on the end are Jersey Devils. These here and here are Opalcas, which we haven't gotten a whole lot of. A lot of them are kind of small on the Opalcas. We can see in here that we have quite a few. Some are getting red. And then right in here, which I've been surprised, is this Amish paste. These Amish paste are growing really well. A lot of different clusters and that in here of tomatoes. You can look here. This one's a beautiful one, just full of. You can see that. I mean, they're pretty good size. So on this row and the next four rows I'm going to show you, these are plants where we grew heirlooms, different colors, because you know we want to get a lot of production out of our garden, but we also want to have fun, and that's what makes things fun, is seeing different plants and different colors that you can grow, different varieties. These here are the bigger beefsteaks that I put in here. This one here is called Triple Crop, and you can see how large that tomato is. They're kind of all cat-faced, kind of like one of those old kind of heirloom types. And so they're starting to get large. Every week we come out here, they seem to get bigger. Over here is what they call a Big Zac, although I don't really have any big ones on this yet. I think I had a few that might have had issues with the tomatoes, so we pulled them off. But we still have some small ones growing. So hopefully they still have some time to get bigger. We'll see how those work out. This one's called a German Johnson, so it's a large size green tomato. You see how large that is, and some of the other ones that are really growing up here look really nice. And this here is called a Dr. Wishies. It's a yellow beefsteak tomato. Nothing really huge on this one yet, but you know, we can give it some time. Here's another favorite of ours here. These here are called Orange Russian, and it's an Oxart tomato. So you see how it almost looks like a heart shape? And when these are ripe, they will be like red with yellow in them. Just really beautiful. This right here, this big plant, is called a mortgage lifter. So you can look, let me see if I can get a look down in here. You can see there's all kinds of different tomatoes in there being set. And then I'll kind of walk over here. This here is Kellogg's Breakfast. I just have small ones on this plant so far. And then this here is a Cherokee Purple. So again, you can see kind of those cat face kind of old tomatoes. But we really enjoy watching these ones grow. Now on this side is going to be one of the ones that's a surprise of our garden. You can see this thing is about 7 feet tall, and it's called a Purple Russian. And if you look, it is set all kinds of fruit. So this one is also a paste tomato. You can see it's really set nice in here. And so we're just waiting for those to turn purple and try them out. It's been really impressive. If we come over here, this is another newer variety we tried. And this one is called Sky Reacher. So it has set a lot of trusses of fruit here. And when it gets ripe, it's red with yellow stripes on it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that looks like. Last year we got nothing out of this plant, but now that we moved it to a different area, it's doing well. This one here is kind of a novelty plant. It's called Yellow Stuffer. So you can see when it gets ripe, it kind of hollows out on the inside, and it's kind of like a bell pepper. So you stuff it and you cook it with it that way. So we'll see how those turn out. And then right here, we got red pear. So this is really growing well. A lot of different trusses of fruit here growing. See them down in here, starting to get a little bit, starting to turn color. So, and then of course if you got red pear, then you got to have yellow pear. So here's all of our yellow pear tomatoes, and you can see down here they're starting to get ripe. Now here is one of the first varieties of anthocyanin tomatoes I want to show you. This one here is called Indigo Rose. These are just, I love the blue black color on the top of them. And then you can see like this here. Look at how beautiful that is. It's just a whole set of tomatoes. And when they get ripe, they won't be green underneath anymore. They will actually kind of blush, and then they will turn like a red color. But how beautiful is that? And then as we continue to go, we got, these are green zebras. As you can see, we got a few green zebras in there. This one is called Aunt Ruby's German Green. So those are actually some good sized green ones there. And this was one of the ones we got, one of the Wild Boar Farms selections. It's called Green Berkeley Tie-Dye. You can see it have like a tie-dye kind of a look. Look how striped up that is. And it'll turn different colors. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that one looks like when it's all ripe. So on this side we have a lot of different colors also. This here is a black cherry. So this thing is really setting a lot of nice fruit on it. Really nice plant. Let's see. Down here, they're starting to get ripe on the vine there. So these here are actually turn like a purple color when they're ripe, but they're really looking good. This next one here is one I was really looking forward to. Look at what these tomatoes look like. Look at the different colors on it. It's called black vernissage, and you can see down here they're starting to get to that ripe form. So they kind of have like little green streaks in them. Usually kind of like a blackish streak with red. So what a beautiful tomato that is. That's what makes gardening fun, is seeing something like that. Here's another one of our anthracynine. It's called Black Beauty. So look at those. They're starting to crown on the top with that black color. As you can see here, there's another one. And you can see a couple here that haven't turn black yet, and then what they do when they start to turn black. So again, another beautiful plant. These next three are my Brandywines. This is a black Brandywine. They're not turning their ripe colors yet. This is a red Brandywine. You can see some of the tomatoes on there. And then I got yellow Brandywine. And this next one is one that's really surprised me. This one here, all these tomatoes on it, is called a white Tomasol. I did not expect this plant to grow so nice and big and to set so much fruit on it. But it's really looking good, all the different ones. Along with this white cherry. Now on this white cherry, I literally planted 12 different pots with the seeds for the white cherry, and I literally had this one plant sprout up. So I spent a lot of time, so I thought I got to get that plant in the ground if I at least got 1 out of 12. And it's really doing well. And then this next one here is a favorite of ours. It's the Juliet. So you can see how big the plants are. They always have big plants. We got a lot of different tomatoes on here. You can really see in here all the different tomatoes all setting on fruit here. And then if you look down in here, we have some that are already getting red. So they're already getting ready to need to be picked. Okay, so now on this other side is basically all cherry tomatoes. And right here we have another nice tall plant. But this here is sun gold. And you can see, look at the color of these. Just beautiful. And so these are all getting ripe. They're all getting ready to pick. You can see here on this other, this is also another sun gold plant. You can see what's being produced here. So we have so many of these. We're gonna actually, we've seen people put them in a dehydrator. So we're gonna try doing that. Now there's a variety they call Sweet 100. And this is an upgrade to that. It's called Super Sweet. But look at everything that's loaded on this plant. These cherry tomatoes are going crazy on here. And you can start to see here where they're starting to get ripe also. But We're excited about all of these getting ripe. Here's another plant that we have of it. You can see, again, some of these ones just starting to turn color. So we're looking forward to those. This variety here is called Pink Bumble. And it's another, again, multicolor. Kind of, they're supposed to be like pink, but you can see the ones that are getting ripe are more of an orange, yellow mixture. It's supposed to kind of, I guess, be like a bumblebee. And then right here, got blue goldberries. So you can see another one of those ones where it's turning purple and black where the sun hits. But look at this. If you go down here and look at these ones getting ripe, look how the color just changes completely. That is really cool. So we are looking forward to seeing what these ones taste like. Now these next couple of varieties are again more of the Wild Boar Farms varieties. They have some really cool colors and variations. This one's called Brad's Atomic Grape. And we just love the different stripes that are on them. It just really is looking neat. And you can see these ones down here are starting to blush. Look at the different colors on that. That is unbelievable. So we're starting to see those really change before our eyes. Here's another plant of the Brad's Atomic Grape. Seem to be mostly purple, but then when they start to get ripe, that's when they start to change color. Look at these ones in here. See if I can get you a picture of them. Look at that, just that red, yellow, purple variation. And then we have what they call Berry's Crazy Cherry. Now this one has such big clusters. The tomatoes almost looks like a grape cluster. And that's the way they grow. You could see here how big those clusters of tomatoes are. But these ones here are starting to turn ripe. And then we have some here that are looking really good. So these last 3 rows that we have are all Big Beef. Now Big Beef has been our most productive tomato that we've had in the garden for the last 5 years. And so that's why we grow so many of the plants, because this gets us, there's so many good tasting tomatoes that come off of here that it allows us to do all the canning and different things we want to do. I love these tomatoes. Look at, they're just so nice and uniform. And this is a hybrid tomato, but it's so disease resistant. Look at the size of some of these. They're just really good size. And as you walk through, you can see that there's tomatoes set all over the place in here. Everything's getting ready to go for our season this year with all these tomatoes. You can see they're just, these plants are just loaded up. See all the ones just everywhere. So we're just waiting for them to turn red. Look at this plant right here. This thing just has absolutely all kinds of tomatoes in here. And so a lot of them are big enough to where I can barely fit them in my hand when they're ripe. So they grow really well. They're very real productive plant. You give them what they need, they will produce for you really well. And so on this side this year, I think I took some pictures and put them on my Instagram account. I put everything up to a pole that stands 10 feet tall. So, and then I put some conduit coming across, and then I made my homemade tomato hooks, and then put the baling twine all the way down to these plants. So I started to grow them on a single leader, but then I wanted to have 2 liters. So I put 2 liters per plant on a lot of these that had a nice sucker growing off of it. So you can see there's one going up to the top, and on the same plant there's a second one. So I have 2 vines coming up. If you look over here, I kind of have the same thing right there and then right here. But so far this has grown really nice. It kind of mimics where people have their tomatoes in the greenhouses and they're hanging with those tomato hooks up in the greenhouse. But so far, before I used to put them on a conduit pole just staked into the ground, and so far I really like this way better. We just get the string and then we use these kind of hooks. So that there is our east garden. with our tomatoes and our sunflowers here. Now we'll head over to the west side of the garden. And before we do, we'll show you our next project right here. This right here is my last section by the block wall that I need to get rid of all those weeds and that. So I'm going to put some of the weed fabric in there. And my plan is oh, look at this. I don't know if you can see it. There was just a hummingbird right in front of the camera. Probably couldn't see it. I love all that nature. Just, you never know what you're going to see. So anyways, right here we're going to put a raised bed, flowers right along the wall. So probably big sunflowers, hollyhocks, different things that grow up tall and give us a little privacy. And then down here in this area where we had grass, we're going to go ahead and till it. And because we don't have any area for garlic and onions. So we love our garlic and our onions, especially for everything that we make homemade. So that's what we're going to do here. So let me head over here to the west side of the garden then. So right in this section here we have our pickling cucumbers. We doubled this up this year because we love making our pickles. These cucumbers really produce a lot. And then you can see back on this row we made a whole row of just slicing cucumbers. So but let me show you these a little closer up. You could see we do a little T-post with a conduit, and then again here's our tomato hooks that we make homemade, and I make the circle on the top just so I can go onto the conduit like so. And again I use the baling twine. I use the regular twine like from Home Depot or Lowe's, and it's just so small that when you try to clip those little hooks on there, sometimes it just slides through the hook, or it just shreds, kind of shreds on the end. But these ones are thicker in the end, so I'm hoping that they last a little bit longer. You could use them for several seasons. But you can see in here we got lots of, oh, here's one that's way too big. I usually try to get these cucumbers before they get that large. Today when I get done with this video, I think Bee's waiting for me right now. But look at this. Just a lot of nice ones. I'll show you where we made the mistake though. Oh, here's a little one. But way down here, I didn't bend my back over to see what's down here on the bottom. I have a couple down here, and I'm just gonna have to throw out because they're just way too overripe. So what a waste, but that's what happens sometimes. And then right here, you can just see they're just really loaded up with nice pickling cucumbers. So that's what we do there. Let me show you on this other side, or get a better picture of our slicers. Here you can see how nice and tall these plants are getting. And what we do is we prune them. We try to get all the suckers off, and then we prune them to these strings. And it's called a lower and lean method, where you could take these hooks and then you just can lower them so many lengths. And then what you would do then is take this and run it up onto the pole and connect it. And usually I would bring it down maybe 6 inches to a foot below the pole and let it grow up to the pole again, and then again lower it down again a couple more sections. But if you want us to show a video on how we do that more in depth, just leave a note down on this where this video is at, and we'll get that one going for you. But you see all these are starting to get above the pole, so you can see another thing I need to do this evening is to get these pruned. You can see we have some nice, let me see here. I got some smaller ones in here, but also if you look, we got this nice, I think this is a Market More. Nice slicer there. And we have some more as we go down here lower. You can see there's a couple of nice ones there. You can look at these leaves and how used up they are at the bottom. And that's what happens with cucumbers, especially when it gets hot. So right around this level, we've had down, if you look down on the end, we have some shade cloth on the ground. And so we covered it with shade cloth because we had a couple 100-degree days a couple weeks ago, a couple 100-degree days last week. and just to kind of help to preserve these, because when it gets hot, these plants really suffer. But here's some here's a one that's called a white cucumber. If you look down here on the bottom, we have one growing there. It's called a white wonder. So we're looking forward to seeing those get bigger. So just real quickly on the rest of our garden, we'll probably do more in depth in the weeks to come. We have all of these marigolds, which we bring in for the bees and the pollinators and the beauty. And then we also have these okra. Now these okra seeds I got about 5 years ago from a good friend of mine. His name's Neil Barnes, and he gave me this empty like pillbox full of these okra seeds that he had harvested from one of his plants. And I'll tell you what, I grow them every year and they come up and they are strong plants. And you can just see how beautiful and how big these, by the end of the season, you know, these things will be 10 feet tall. Like they look like a little tree. But yeah, we really like these. And then we have our basil down here kind of shaded off. All the different kinds of basil right there. So on this next aisle, we'll show our Cuckoo Melons. This is new to our garden. They're in a big old clump there on the ground. Now we were hoping that they would grow up the poles like our pole beans. But no, they don't. They do not grow up poles. So we got to figure out a trellis solution. We'll probably put something between these two conduit poles to get them to climb. Because if you look here, they sure are trying to climb the pole beans. And then if you look down over here, they're trying to climb the okra. So these things are really cool. You could see down here, there's like a little cuckoo melon. Looks like a little tiny watermelon. They taste like a cucumber with kind of a lemony taste. And then right here is our yard-long beans. They haven't gotten really big yet. And then we go to our Blue Lake pole beans, which have all gotten to the tops of these poles. We grow like about 3 plants at the bottom of each pole and just let them go. And you can see that they just start wrapping around the pole, and they'll just keep going, and each plant will wrap around the other plant. You can see maybe a little better down here. You can see all these little vines just circling the conduit. And then when they get to the top, well, then they decide they're going to come across to the other side. So this will be a whole bunch of plants all massed together by the time they get done. But there is a lot of different blooms in here. And then if you look in here, we have some of the green beans already growing. So we look forward to eating those later on as they start ripening up here in the next couple weeks. So we go to this other side. We can see all of our different squash that we grew on. We started growing them vertically. So far we like this system. It takes a lot of maintenance, more maintenance. You have to get to it a lot quicker than you do or more often I should say, than the tomatoes, because these things aren't made to climb. They just fall over if you let them get too big. This one here is a white scallop. Look how long this plant. This plant's already like 4 feet tall. You can see right here on the top, there's one growing. But on the bottom, we've taken and pruned it all the way up. And so all of these are growing well. In between these plants, we have our herbs, rosemary, we have epazote. This caraway got really super tall. And then kind of in between all of these different squash plants there, then we have our herbs on the bottom. So here's some yellow squash in here. And then we got our oregano here. Just kind of go around the corner. You can see we have another whole row of marigolds. And again, another shade cloth. We were putting the shade cloth on top of these poles to kind of try and save it from the sun. But yeah, these things are pretty fun to grow. Also, I mean, you look at this. Here's a cocozo. That one's new to our garden this year. I love those little stripes on it. But what we're going to do is we're going to build a little wood frame that kind of goes above these poles, and we're going to throw all the shade cloth on it. Because in the next weeks to come, it's going to get hot. And usually once you hit the first part of July, these plants just kind of burn up because they just can't take the heat. And then if you notice right here on our middle section that we're still working on, we have a big canopy, and I'm been on that ladder bolting all these poles together so they stay together, and you know, when it gets windy. And we're going to put the tarp over the top, and then we're going to stick them right over here over our cucumbers on the other side there, and we're hoping that'll help to preserve them a little longer even in the heat when it gets hot. Now on this side over here we got 2 full rows of pepper plants. We got sweet peppers, spicy peppers, specialty peppers. You can see how nice these plants are going. This is Bee's, my wife Bee, that's her territory. She loves her peppers, and she's the one that takes good care of them. So I'll have to do in the weeks to come, if you'd like us to do a more in-depth tour of these peppers with Bee, you know, go ahead and leave a note, a message there, and let us know. You can look here, this is actually one of those, it's like a cherry pepper. Really kind of cool how it grows. Look in here, all these different peppers. Everything's really starting to produce well. You can see right in here all of these different peppers in here. Trying to help you to see, but there's all these leaves in the way. This one here I'm going to show you though. This one here is a specialty that we just got this year, and that's called a Diaguito jalapeno pepper from Baker Creek. It's supposed to turn different colors and kind of get a cracked appearance. So we're looking forward to seeing what it looks like. And then also right here we have what they call ajvarsky. So we're looking forward to seeing how that works. How these ripen up and what they look like when they're all, what they taste like. They're supposed to be more of a mild pepper. Okay, so on the other side, on the other end of the peppers, on the very back end of this side of the garden, we have eggplant. We've never grown eggplant before, so we're trying it out. So far these plants are getting really big. I know that they love the heat. You can start to see our little, there we go, little eggplant there growing. So we're looking forward to those. And then of course we have our tomatillos. So we put those all in little tomato cages. And here we have the green ones and the purple ones this year. You can see how they're starting to get red. They're really, these husks are really filling up. When these husks are full, then they're ready to harvest. So we'll see how quickly they harvest up. So we'll have some green enchilada sauce and green salsa. So you can see they're really nice, healthy plants. So yeah, so you see there's our east side of the garden there, and then on our west side of the garden. So we'd like to thank you for coming on this garden tour. Hopefully it was something you like to see, and if you want us to continue doing them and showing the progress, then we certainly will. It was really fun to do. So thank you so much for all of your videos out there. That's what helps to drive me and give me the inspiration to keep growing my garden, is seeing everybody else and the passion that they have. So thank you for that, and we'll see you next time.